Hi, everybody. This is a short blurb on why college or university degrees are worth it. And I thought I'd just mention some of these reasons and also suggestions. I'm a college professor in engineering. I have 45 years experience in teaching, so I've seen a lot. And when I was going to school, my first semester tuition bill was $245. So that should put some things in perspective. And today, things are very much more expensive, much more expensive. So I'm going to try to address why you go to college or university. And some questions come up. Are you trying to have fun, enjoy life, the thing to do, perhaps? But if we go on, first thing you want to recognize is a significant maturity level changes in college. College education is usually for the 18 to 22-year-olds. Obviously, there are others that are older, but generally speaking, that's a small fraction. So in those years from 18 to 22, the students undergo a significant change in the maturity level. This is very important to recognize. Whether it's the difficulty they have when they encounter a rough professor, or the fact that they're off on their own for the first time, or whatever, as soon as they flunk a few courses, the maturity level certainly increases. Usually, going back to that idea, I'm always amused by the fact that university people, chancellors and whatever, claim this effect. Students are highly educated and much more mature, and they claim that it's due to exposure to their particular college or their particular university. Anyway, schools and curriculum comments, right? It really does matter what you study, okay? It definitely matters what you study. The following that I will talk about mostly applies to engineering. And you need to pay attention. Pay attention of the starting salaries and job opportunities for the curriculum you are in. It's very important. Generally, at the undergraduate level, it does not matter where you go to college. Oh boy, do I get in trouble for that. It really doesn't matter. All right, I'll explain that a little later. First comment is good teachers are everywhere. Bad teachers are everywhere, right? Just because you're a college professor doesn't mean you can teach. Or because you're a tenured college professor or university professor doesn't mean that you can teach. Generally, if you look at the curriculum, at least in engineering, the first 2 years usually consist of general type courses. English courses, a few history courses, humanities, generally speaking, maybe some computer courses, whatnot. The specialization really comes last 2 years, much more specialized, particularly in engineering. So the first 2 years tends to be a fluffy type courses as compared to the last 2 years. Education is expensive these days. And since the school doesn't really matter at the freshman, sophomore level, I sort of qualified that, you should consider an in-state community college to cut the expenses. These are not expensive. So the first 2 years at a community college, perhaps even living at home, it's a terrible thought living at home, isn't it? You should consider transfer as a junior from one of these community colleges, or if you graduate with a 2-year degree, oftentimes you can transfer as a junior to a 4-year school after the 2-year community college. And what you've essentially done was cut your costs almost in half. Again, I'm pushing in-state schools, public in-state university schools, tuition is a lot lower than private schools. If it takes $70,000 a year for a private school, 4 years, that's a very large amount of money, 300,000 or so. So, and my other comment is, generally speaking, if you want to keep costs low, you should not pay out-of-state tuition. You should stay in-state. You should emphasize what area you're going to be studying is important from the point of view of job opportunities and salary when you graduate. Right. It does matter occasionally what school you graduate from. Right, some for the prestige, name of the school may be helpful later. So anyway, so what should you look for? Well, what are you looking for? You should look for high levels of student competition. Yes, good faculty. Yes, pretty campus, good food. That's tough to come by at a university cafeteria, good food. Nice dorms, yes. But you should recognize that the students actually make the school. Students actually make the school. It's the student competition that is key. Competition with other students is extremely helpful for intellectual growth and maturity and education, gaining knowledge, gaining understanding. Money also makes the school. So money makes the school, students make the school. Then you have some other factors like faculty, maybe. Good universities are typically well-funded and have lots of fat universities for sure. So an expensive school with a good reputation will likely have high levels of student competition. At least that's the image they'll present. Inexpensive schools may also have the same level of competition. It's the competition you're looking for. It's the growth that you're looking for. Side comment, living on campus in a dorm will most likely lower your grade point average. It's not a good idea to live on campus. Again, maybe you like the camaraderie and things of that nature. At the end of it all, what do you have? Well, 4 years is a long time. 4 years is not a long time. So there you have 4 years. For a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old, 4 years is an awful long time. Right? For somebody 70, 4 years is blink of an eye. Well, let's take a look at 4 years. Well, that's only 120 weeks. 15 weeks per semester. Study time, say you were studying 40 hours per week. Total study hours, study time is 4,800 hours. These hours are spread over many areas, a little of this and a little of that. Malcolm Gladwell, famous guy, writes very interesting stuff. Estimates it takes about 10,000 hours to become professional. Become a professional at anything. 4,800 hours for the total time spent studying this and that does not nearly approach the 10,000 hours necessary. Okay. Upon graduation, you will likely have a deep sense that you did not learn anything. This is very true. This is true. I mean, stop thinking about 4,800 hours. If you did study that long, most kids may study 5 hours a week. Not terrible, right? This is true. Remember, you did not really spend much time in studying. That's often the case. Even if you did study 4 hours, 40 hours, even if you did put in 4,800 hours, that's still, in the scheme of things, a drop in the bucket. So you develop a real sense that you didn't learn anything, which is sort of what I felt when I graduated myself. However, something else happened. She recognized that graduation, it was real long, 4 years. That's a long time, huh? Graduation is not the end. It's actually the beginning. If you get a BS degree or an undergraduate degree, it's the start of things. 4 years maybe appear to be significant to a 20 or 22-year-old, but just faded memories for somebody that's 40 or 50 or 70. In the college area, you were introduced to things. You were basically introduced to things. My colleagues, professors, they really think they're going to change you. Well, I don't think they change you. You are a little bit dangerous. Okay. So what do you have? Well, whether you realize it or not, you have some sense of liberal arts. That's from the first 2 years. Some sense of engineering and what engineering's about. Some sense in how to solve engineering problems, if you're in engineering. But most of all these, is you should have some sense on how to solve problems. That's what engineers do, solve problems, design stuff, that kind of stuff. Okay, the real reasons you go to college and universities, well, in engineering, when you enter higher education, grad school, you will experience, or you graduate when you graduate, you'll experience an economic jump, right? Very important to recognize. You're going from $10, $12 an hour of a high school student to maybe $40 or $50 an hour as an engineer, and maybe turning out to be 70 to 80K a year. That's what the salaries are now. The cost of oil goes up in chemical engineering, we'll be up at 100,000. We did have one young lady graduate whose starting salary was 100,000, and then she got a car along with as a signing bonus. At this level, 70, 80,000 a year, you're not really worth it. Please realize you're not actually worth this amount just yet. Okay. Companies are investing in your future performance, basically what they're doing. They're investing in your future performance. Learning to think. You learn how to think about solving problems. Learning how to think is very, very important. Going forward, you will be teaching yourself. You will be teaching yourself. Very important to recognize. Among the other things of college, you'll become more and more independent, not dependent upon what people are telling you, but more dependent upon what you absorb from books and analysis. There are some 6 to 8 different ways of solving engineering problems, maybe even more. And hopefully you'll be exposed to these. So 2 things. You'll experience a significant increase in your economic value. And second, you'll learn how to think. Now, of the various videos out there that says is college education worth it or not? Well, if you're going to major in history or even business administration, lots of those things come easy. However, when you're talking about pressure drops and engineering concepts like thermal energy, mechanical energy balance, process control, it's best to get a jump on those areas, and you're not going to pick it up on the fly as an uneducated engineer. Now, in my lifetime, believe it or not, I've met what I would consider maybe 2 natural engineers. In other words, they were capable of picking up any textbook in a matter of a day or 2, absorb what they needed out of that book, and proceed. However, they're few and far between. So, college education where there's actually a whole bunch of information like engineering, you can get a huge jump start with a college degree. Along the path of what's important and what's not. Okay. So those are the 2 biggies I offer to you. Learn how to think and major increase in salary level. Okay, the dominant degree. Now, you should focus on 1 degree, okay? Dual degrees, honors programs, etc., do not help in this regard. They don't help your bottom line. If I have a dual degree, like in chemical engineering with chemistry, you have a dual degree in chemical engineering and chemistry. Now, between the 2 degrees, the engineering degree is far more valuable. So starting salaries, again, are different for those 2 areas. Chemical engineering is quite different than starting salary in chemical engineering is quite different than the starting salary in the chemistry area. So again, you're always looking at your market value. High school versus college degrees. Obviously, the college degree, and especially in engineering, is much, much better. Now then, when we compare, again, this concept of dominant degree, if I have a BS in engineering making $70K, that's not as good as an MBA degree, Master's of Business Administration degree, with a BS in engineering. Here you have 2 degrees. Okay, so you can speak the engineering side and you can speak the engineering side, or business side versus the engineering side. So in this case, the dominant degree will be the MBA degree, which may be around 130K. BS in engineering is not as good as a law degree in business, a law degree in business. In other words, the law degree that you're looking for specializes in the business law aspect. And with a BS in engineering, again, you BS in combination with law. That would be a very strong degree combination. 4 years for the BS degree, 3 years for the law degree. Starting salaries, 130K a year. Again, you're emphasizing law. But as you can bring this up a higher value. Right. The MBA will rise in value and law degree will also rise in value, where this may be 300,000, 500,000. So in this case, the law degree is the dominant degree. It's good that you have the engineering degree, but your salary level is determined by your law degree. So education, when does it start? Sorry. All this education stuff at college and universities is really only a start on your education, only starting. When you graduate, then the beginning of your education begins. So the education, the real education is really after college, right? After you graduate, when you go in, quote, the real world. But by the way, the real world is unbelievable, right? A college professor once said to me, universities are the keepers of knowledge. Unfortunately, this is not true. In many, many areas, this is not true. And besides, if you know it, the question is, do you understand it? So education is very much a combination of gaining the knowledge and then understanding the knowledge. You may have gained a whole bunch of knowledge as college students. However, did you understand what you were being taught? Big difference between knowledge and understanding. And after understanding, you have potentially developed wisdom, the last 3 levels of education, so to speak. Anyway, I hope this helps you with your college decisions. Again, you want to try to keep the costs at a minimum, which means community college first 2 years, second 2 years at a major state school with in-state tuition. Private schools are fine, but private schools are likely to be expensive. The public universities have the entire taxing power of the state behind them. Anyway, I wish you luck and have a good day. Thank you.